Councillors, staff and public, thank you for your attendance. Now 5 o'clock, we'll open the meeting. According to the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2015, the public is advised that the proceedings of the meeting of council will be recorded on digital media to assist in the preparation of the minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of debate and discussions of the meeting is available. West Coast Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land in which we gather today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Item 69 is record of attendance, apologies and leave of absence of all councillors here, and staff. Item 7 is financial interest declaration. This time of the meeting, any councillors having a financial interest with any item on the agenda can present that now or wait till before discussion of the topic. No financial interest at this stage. Item 71 is confirmation of the minutes. Recommendation is that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the West Coast Council held at the Council Chambers, 11 Stitch Street, Queenstown, Tuesday the 25th of February 2025, a copy of which having been previously circulated councillors prior to the meeting be confirmed as true and accurate record. Someone like to move that way, please. Move Councillor Ivanicky, seconded Councillor Butterfield. Put to a vote. All those in favour? Against? One against. Item 72 is public participation and question time. So we've got 15 minutes allocated for the meeting is available for questions to be asked by members of the public. If there is any questions, could you just give your name and address?
And I know that other residents in the area have sent letters as well. I haven't had a single response apart from the acknowledgement letter. And in light of the recent fires at the back of the town, I have asked for these 2 trees, actually there's a number of trees, but 2 clumps of trees to be removed because A, they're a fire hazard, and B, they drop enormous branches. And I've got one at the back of my property and it's recently dropped 3 enormous limbs, which I'm presently trying to deal with. When that happens to these other 2 trees, there's going to be either loss of life or there's certainly going to be damage to property. And I think because they're all on council land, this needs to be looked at. And I've also sent a letter in regard to establishing a public garden out on my property for the community and for the tourists, and I've had no response whatsoever. Even I've had an acknowledgement and that's it. So I guess my concern is that I'm not being acknowledged and I'm not getting a response, especially with things that are really vital, these trees. If ash had come into those trees during that last fire, the whole town would have gone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny, for bringing that to our attention. Because the General Manager will take that on notice. And
through your chair, certainly we'll take that on notice and get back to you, Jenny.
Thank you.
If I may, I'll add to that. My name's Kerry Barclay. I'm at 25 McNamara, so I'm basically next door to the road. So those trees actually overhang the power lines that are outside of my property, and we've had a huge branch fall off one of those trees onto the power lines, and I reported it to Energex at the time because it was very dangerous, and it eventually, in the winds, fell down outside our property and we dragged it off the road and cut it up. They are very dangerous trees, and look, I'm a tree lover. I'm a greenie, sorry, I am. So I don't like to remove trees, but unfortunately, Jenny's right. If there was a fire, our house would go straight away. We're next to Vinnie's would go. Then, who knows? They're dangerous. So just to follow up on that.
Yep, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Any other?
If I may, a few months ago I asked a question about the bathrooms. A friend of mine was in town at 7 or 7:30 in the morning, I can't recall now, and the public toilets were closed. There were tourists that were looking for somewhere to go to the bathroom, and apparently they're meant to be open at that time of day, so it was going to be looked into. I don't know what happened about that, whether we found out what's going on with them being locked at that time of day.
I'll follow that up as well.
Thank you. Okay, we have got one question from the public, General Manager, been submitted.
Yes, that is correct. Linton Harris from 20 Tyndall Street in Gormiston has asked a number of questions in relation to why a fee is not on a pro rata basis, and what I've seen at this point in time from the question that was submitted, there needs to be a little bit of work done in relation to answering that question, and with my senior manager away, I'll certainly attend to that when Bill returns.
Thank you, General Manager.
I just point out that we make sure we communicate, listening to the ladies, and we seem to have lost that communication stream, so can we please make sure we communicate?
Thanks, Councillor. Item 73 is Council raised issues and information. We have no questions on notice. Any questions without notice, councillors? Councillor Hamer.
A few residents have asked where to find the receipt of the Union Steamship Building drawn in the financials on West Coast webpage and payment of building. That's the first one, and I do have a second one through you, Chair, to the General Manager.
With regard to the first question, I guess the
Yeah,
General Manager will take that on notice.
Absolutely, got that one. Yep.
Okay, and through you, Chair, to the General Manager again, the Health and Wellbeing Program, I've had a few queries. Who is footing the bill and how much is Council spending on this? Could you take that on notice?
Yes, certainly can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McKay.
Thank you. Is there an update on the construction of the Fosse River toilets?
I've got a. I need to write another letter to State Growth with regard to that. There is a action against me in the agenda to re-communicate with State Growth to find out where that's going. So I'll
It's
action
such
that
an
this month.
important stop to
Yes.
travellers.
So the last we heard was they listened to our feedback with regard to the meeting we had with them around the two toilets that they were proposing. We presented that there needs to be more than just the two toilets. They were going back to redesign that and come back to us with a new design. So I'll follow up with them to find out how that is progressing. Given it is now probably over 6 months since we've had that presentation from them. Any other questions on notice, Councillor? Without notice, sorry.
I have a few without notice. One is to follow up from last month's meeting where I asked the question about the continuation of pathology services at the Queenstown Hospital. So we've received some informal notification that services will continue, but I'm wondering when we'll get the official response, and will that service continue as it currently is, i.e. 5 days a week? We certainly don't want to see that service scale back. And will the new provider be able to do blood work for children? That's one of my questions.
To you, Mr Mayor, the circumstances of that is we've chased it up with the Minister. We're still waiting on a response. I can certainly follow it up again, but until we actually get a response from them, we're a bit of a loss at this point in time. But I do understand the importance of the 5 days and the pathology for children, so there's not that excessive travel.
Great. My second question?
Just with regard to that as well, the Premier and also the Leader Opposition are quite aware of that. They were here recently and were approached by a gentleman that had to travel to Burnie on the bus to have a pathology. So they're well aware of the situation and they were going to follow it up with the Minister as well, because they both said that it was not acceptable. So.
Thank you. Thanks for that update, Mayor. Also following up, have we received a response from the Department of Health regarding the recruitment of operational paramedics for the West Coast, given that our current stock of paramedics are leaving the area?
So, haven't had any feedback with regard to that. It was alarming that over the weekend, the West Coast was without any paramedics and relying on our volunteer staff, who do a tremendous job, of course, but they do require that support as well, which would have had to come from Burnie if required. The paramedic is back in town as of today, so, but yeah, snow certainly is an issue that the Department of Health are dealing with right across the state at the moment.
And my other question, Mayor, I'm asking this on behalf of a resident who had a question about the Queenstown Pool's close down date. They specifically are asking, can council extend the pool's operation until the end of April, given that the Queenstown and Zeehan playgrounds are currently under construction? The reasoning being families with younger children rely on the pool and the park as play spaces that are most suitable for their needs.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I've scheduled a conversation with our engineering manager to see whether that can actually be looked into. I'll have some advice before the end of the week.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, I've just got one. The Strawn Committee have submitted their acquittal for the 2025 Mount Lyell Strawn Picnic on the 12th of the 3rd. Could this acquittal be included in the April meeting, as it may have been missed on the agenda for March?
Certainly.
Thank you. Thank you. We have no motions on notice. Have we any motions without notice? No motions without notice. Okay, we'll keep moving. Item 74 is the Mayor and Councillors' diaries and communications. It's for noting, Council resolved that the Mayor's and Councillors' diaries and communication as presented be noted. Any discussions on any of that, on any of them items, councillors? No discussion, keep moving. Excuse me. Item 75 is council workshops. For noting, the council resolved that to note the following workshops were conducted by council since the last ordinary meeting. So we have the 11th of March, early learning for 3-year-olds. Just one change there, the TasPorts handover presentation didn't occur. We need to remove that from the agenda if we can, please.
Yep.
Cradle Coast ALUS and rates policy review, and then today rates policy, recycling, clean away, target amendments to the Local Government Act, and also we had the presentation from Parks and Wildlife with regard to the next iconic walk. That's for noting, council. Any discussions on any of that, councillors? Yes, Councillor McCabe.
It was wonderful to have the presentation regarding the next iconic walk. It's so positive and the plans were looking absolutely fantastic for the region, so it's really exciting to see that. And also, can we please reschedule the TasPorts handover action item or agenda item?
Yes, the General Manager did have that, or was organising that with the recipients. And totally take on board your point about the Parks and Wildlife and the next iconic walk. There has been a lot of media around them, I guess, pulling back on that project. Well, what we've seen today wasn't the case. It's still as what they presented originally, apart from some changes which were on feedback from a lot of community members right around Tasmania and Australia. So it's great to see that, the state government and Parks and Wildlife are listening to the residents and people that will be using that track. So yeah, it's great work.
Sorry, through you, Mayor. I just wondered if we could amend the workshop info to include the Teleprogress Association.
Oh yes, sorry, missed that one. Yes,
That's all right.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Okay, item 76 is our decision status reports and action item lists. For noting, council resolved that the status report action item of open council meeting decisions be received. Any discussions on any of that, councillors? Yes, councillor Mackay.
There's some specific items in there that I've put forward. I would like to request a meeting with the General Manager to dive down into a few details on a few of those items, specifically if I can.
Thanks, councillor.
Certainly.
Thank you, Jim.
Before you go on, just about the street sweeper, I thought we were going to leave that till we're a little bit
We have.
conservative in the future. Is that the case? We're not going to buy a street sweeper straight away?
Through you, Mr Mayor, the circumstances around that is I've asked for details around that conversation. No decision's been made and it won't be made until we get past the end of the financial year and council's new budget.
Could we actually get that to reflect
Yep.
in the action items, please? Thank you. Sorry, through you, Chair.
Any other questions, councillors?
I was just going to inquire about the gymnasium roof repair that from the storm that we had late last year. Is that scheduled? When's that scheduled to be?
Through you, Mr Mayor, the circumstance with that is Matt's been on leave, but he's back now, and I have sent him some information in relation to some of the construction components of it, and I'll be following up with him on the schedule. He sent me a list this morning, but I haven't had a chance to sort of digest it in detail.
Right, just the other thing from our action reports is there's 23 actions that just say pending without anything else. So if we can have some updates, that'd be handy.
Understand.
Okay, I've just got one on 405-24 around Harvey Street Road. Have we heard anything back from State Growth with regard to that? General Manager?
No, not at this time, no.
I might draft a letter off them again, if that's okay.
Through you, Mayor, there's a couple of items that are complete on there. Can we just get them off the list?
Yep. And item 46-25 around the availability of Mayor on Air recordings. I thought they were on their website, but maybe that's not true. They were supposed to be being saved on their website.
Through you, Mayor, they weren't last month.
Right,
There was nil recordings.
okay,
Yep.
right.
It was still the same the other day. There hasn't been anything since the end of December.
Right, okay.
But before you go on, Mayor, could we just slow it down a little for our new technology? If, through you, Chair, if the General Manager could let the public know what we're doing?
For the public's benefit, we're actually taking notes as we go tonight on the screen, which makes preparation of the minutes just that little bit quicker.
Okay, no other discussions on them, councillors? Item 77 is of open agenda is committees of council. Council resolved that the council committees reports as presented to be noted, which we have none. Item 78 is the general manager report. That the general manager report as presented be noted. Someone like to move that way, please, for discussion. Move councillor Mackay, second councillor Hamer. Okay, open for discussion. Put it to a vote at the end.
Can I
Councillor
ask some
Mackay.
questions, please?
Yes, councillor Mackay.
Thank you. Page 28. With the financials, I'm just want to reiterate the benefit of the notes to the financials. That's very much appreciated and really does give good clarity to be able to read through those documents and understand them clearly as a councillor. So I thank the staff for preparing those well documented notes there. Page 5. The Howard Park Playground redevelopment. I've heard quite a bit of feedback in the community of how excited they are to see that come to fruition and how they're really loving watching the space grow and excited for all the kids to get in there and do that. So that's a great thing for council. Page 36, we've got the pool repairs and development. Is there a firm date on when we're going to reopen the pool?
Through Mr Mayor, to the meeting. I had some feedback from Matt this morning. It's scheduled for close to the end of this month, but I'll go back and confirm that and circulate that information to everyone.
Please do.
Through you. Notice in the facilities bookings that there's no mention of the CWA or the youth, the child's playgroup booking the hall at Strawn at any time. Can we just get an update advice when you get a chance on that?
Yes, Councillor.
I had a question on something I couldn't find. Perhaps I overlooked it. The gym numbers. That's in the General Manager's report, correct? I couldn't find them, but maybe I am not looking. I, did a search and find text and I just can't find them.
Through you, if I may, Mayor, they are being, because the new app's now up and running, the reporting wasn't making sense, so they're getting new reporting stats to show with the new app.
Thank you.
So they are missing.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Mackay.
Thank you. And just on the Eco Dev, page 55, it has the highlights of the Fly to Health coming to the region, and it's such a wonderful thing to come. The services are going to be fantastic for our region. I've got two questions. First of all, why was the meet and greet cancelled for Monday?
Yes, through Mr Mayor. We only received about 55% of the bookings, so they rescheduled their start date. So we're busily making new connections and making sure that we can get a full suite of appointments, and then we'll relaunch in a couple of weeks' time.
My second question is, why is it so hard to make an appointment? I went online and tried to make an appointment to ensure that there was a good take-up, and I stopped in the process because I found it too difficult.
I can talk to that if you like.
Thanks, Councillor.
I struck the same thing trying to get an appointment for Kelly. I had a really good in-depth conversation. I've had 3 or 4 strong conversations with Isaac, and they acknowledge that there's a problem at their end and they're working on resolving that. It's in their best interest to make sure that we can fill their client book as well as it is in our community. So they acknowledge this problem. We're a slightly different community to what they're used to dealing with, which people find when they deal with us on all sorts of matters. So, we have a really high population base who are not technically au fait. They can't use the computer online stuff. They need to talk. They need to make a booking on the phone, and they're just not. It's not an option for them at the other end. They don't have that capacity built into their system. So they're working on it, and hopefully by the time 7 April, I think, was the time they're looking at coming back, they'll have full booking. So look, they know there's a problem and they're working on it.
I would say that's why the books aren't full.
Yeah, they know that. There's no doubt.
Whether there's any way to align with Oka Health to be able to facilitate bookings.
No, they've got their own system in place, and they've just worked, as Councillor has said, being the chair of the Livable Communities group. They are working through that, and Kerry did have a presentation on the ABC morning the other day when they were in Strawn around that, tried to promote that.
One of the key sticking points is with when you've got a client who's an NDIS client, there's a whole heap of other elements that need to be loaded up into the system before they can come. All right, so it's a much more cumbersome booking process for an NDIS client. and that's been, these problems, everyone's aware of it, now we're working through finding solutions, so I'm really confident that we'll get this over the line.
Good.
And through you, Mr Mayor, the circumstances are that there's additional media being promoted with a direct connection to them to facilitate those appointments.
Beautiful. It'd be a shame for it not to work,
Oh, yes. I think so.
just through that ability to book an appointment.
We're all so very keen to make this work, so everyone's working on the best they can from either end. Yeah.
Okay, any others? Yes.
Yeah, just one, on page 52, is it possible to have in detail the water sampling results published through you, Chair? Sorry,
I can take that on us and see what I can do, yeah.
thank you.
Councillor McKay, you have another?
Also in the eco-dev section, the West Coast Visitor Information Centre statistics specifically around social media engagement has absolutely rocketed. And I must admit the content that is now filtering through on our socials is of absolute quality, beautiful content, and really starting to connect with communities. So that communication channel is definitely working. There's absolutely more to be done in that space, but I'd like to commend the staff on the beginnings of getting a great foundation of a communication strategy.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's noticeable more engagement with it, isn't there, on social?
Noticeably. Well, you've got 119.8 thousand reach, which was previously not.
And that's all about the content that's available. Yeah.
Relevant.
And the updates on projects are invaluable.
There's just such a presence there. There was no presence before, and now you see it. You know, it's on your social link there all the time. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Okay, any others, councillors? We've got a couple just around the Macquarie Heads. So, surprising that our waste management at Macquarie Heads, the skip bin's the same this summer as what it was last year. So, yeah, there hasn't been that increase that we thought there might have been, but which is great. Like, people are using it, and we've got certainly the numbers of people at Macquarie Heads has been the same. Talking to the caretaker on the weekend, he certainly said that there's a lot more people using that area, so which is great. And also our overall curbside collection has reduced over the last 12 months, which is a lot more people now are recycling as well. So an increase of 3.25%. So people are starting to recycle, which is good to see, which is a benefit for not just the environment but also our landfill. So well done to our residents out there that are recycling. So, and we've had no vandalism report again this month, which is great to see. So thanks to the public also for that positive outcome there. And I've got a couple more which I'll find, or one more. Give Billy a chance to catch up while I'm trying to find my last one. So, and also just around, I have had a discussion with Luke Martin, the CEO of Salmon Tas, last Tuesday night, was it, or Wednesday? At
Tuesday.
The Isles and Tails in Strawn, which was a great event put on by the salmon industry, and it was well represented by locals down in Strawn and also politicians, and of course some fellow councillors came along, and he's keen to fund some of the equipment in the Strawn gym, so pull that letter out that we sent back in October last year and reinvigorate his mind that we have asked for it before, so you put it so he can fund some equipment for the Strawn gym, which is great to see. Okay. No other discussion points, councillors, on the General Manager report? If not, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Section. Correspondence is the next point, which there's nothing there to be response for, unless anyone thinks that we should respond to any of them letters that were received.
Maybe, through you, Mayor, the letter from Minister Dugan regarding the vegetation of Strawn Water Towers, they certainly did do a good job. That has been tidied up through there. It looks pretty good from there now. So maybe we should respond and say thank you. We really appreciate the efforts and the relationship building process would be worthwhile, I reckon.
Yeah, okay.
They did do a good job. It does look great. Yeah.
We'll take that one on notice then, councillor, and get a letter off to Minister Dugan.
I suppose rather than constantly badging them and giving them a hard
Yes.
time, we should congratulate them when something's done well, you know.
Yeah, very good, yeah, by all means. Thank you for that update. Item 81 is,
Shane.
sorry,
In the correspondence, page 70 from the Tasmanian Heritage Council, can I just get an overview of exactly what that letter means, please?
Through you, Mr Mayor.
yes, thanks.
In terms of the heritage listing of that particular place and the Reflections exhibition as we know it, that in itself adds a level of complexity. I've sought some further advice in terms of what that actually means. Initial conversations have indicated that it doesn't put a stay on everything happening, but what it does is engages us in a conversation with better stakeholder engagement. So that's, original architects, exhibitors, artefacts, there's a whole lot of stuff in there that won't hold up the project overall, but in terms of the dynamics of that internal space will require us to rethink a number of the strategies that we're going to put in place.
I believe that we had contacted all of those relevant stakeholders in the past.
That is correct. We had engaged with the stakeholders in the past, but someone has seen fit to lodge a heritage listing on that particular. We did have conversations around that to say, look, have a think about this twice, but it's still been listed, which adds that level of complexity that I was talking about.
But still doable.
Still doable, but it might mean a little bit more time. I've asked a couple of questions in relation to that project to say, look, if the Reflections exhibition takes a little bit longer to reinvent, how can we make that precinct look like it fits in with a new project whilst we get that work done? So that it's not left as respectfully a blot on our copybook.
What it may do, councillor, is the person that did file for the heritage listing may have some money to put towards that exhibition. So they've come out and put the hurdle in front of us. Now we might go and ask him for some cash to assist with that presentation.
Maybe he'll pay for the digitisation that we, what did we
Yes.
spend, $63,000 on?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So, even though it's a bit of a stall at the moment, I think there probably could be some great outcomes for that, through that process.
I'd just like to add that I was disappointed to see that, because I thought that we'd taken more than adequate measures to protect that display, the structure, and I think that this lodgement was about two individuals more than the display itself.
Yeah.
So I was disappointed to see that, and I thought that we as council had taken more than sufficient to protect that display in Strawn. And the other thing I just wanted to mention in the correspondence before we go, was from the Department of Natural Resources, the declaration of Foxglove, with all the Crown lands that we have in our municipality. Natural resources and environment are coming on us and pointing the stick at us as landholders. We should equally point that stick straight back and ensure that their land is clear as well.
Thank you, councillor.
I don't know if foxglove can grow under gorse, can it?
Probably not, no.
But we should,
Point taken.
we should definitely make sure that foxglove is contained on Crown land as well.
And I think we've written to them before about that as well, that previous, about them maintaining their own Crown land as well. Okay, no other discussions on correspondence? No. Item 81 is a report on the rates for emission for 6 Adam Street in Zeehan. Recommendation is the council approve the rates for emission in accordance with its rates and remission policy for the period of 3 years, commencing with the 2025-26 rating year. Someone like to move that way, please? Move Councillor Mackay, second to Councillor Graham. Open for discussions, councillors. Good to see new builds in Zeehan. I guess that's the positive thing out of this.
And meets policy.
Sorry?
Meets policy.
Yes.
Yeah, let's hope that other people have a go.
And hopefully that starts the revolution.
Commendable.
Yes, very good. So it's a couple now we've seen in the last
That's right.
couple of months. So it's great to see that people have taken up the option. Hopefully it continues on for a while so we can build our housing stocks around our communities. Any other discussions, councillors? We'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, item 82 is a report on the Strawn Recreation Adaptation CWA engagement. The recommendation is, when I get down to it, is recommendation to council. There's a few there. Don't believe I need to read it all out. Everyone's probably read it, hopefully. For discussion points, someone like to move that, please? Move Councillor Graham, second to Councillor Stringer. Open for discussions, councillors. I've just got one, just with regard to there's a late addition there with the door between the kitchen and the storeroom. Was that going to be part of a stage, or, because it doesn't quite say that was going to go in, but it was an afterthought.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We would look at that in that particular option in stage 1.
Right, okay, yep. Councillors, any other discussions? I think it's probably quite a good outcome.
Mayor, which option are we talking of?
Option 3.
Right, we've moved option 3.
Well, we haven't moved any option yet.
But
Just through you, Mr Mayor, to clarify, the recommendation that we endorse the pathway option 3 and the action plan, which is in 3 phases.
Yeah.
So option 3 is to actually engage and invest in a solution. And then there's 3 phases, and I've spread that out over financial years so that there is an opportunity to consider that against other priorities. If it was all in 1 year, there could be some challenges around finances. So I've looked at staging it and a progressive implementation of, because there's ongoing further consultation required as you do these works. And it's a bit hard to say, well, look, I need to consult, but what am I consulting on unless council actually endorses that step forward?
would that include the ability to make changes to allow the 3-year-old education to come into that building.
Through you, Mr Mayor, absolutely. It's one thing that's on the radar. I've already sent a request to Matt to say, and back to our previous presentation to say, what does this look like? Can you do an assessment for me? Because that could be part of budget considerations in phases as we move forward.
As a multi-purpose facility, that would make it very, very useful for community.
That's correct.
So the kitchen will be available to everybody who uses the facility.
Yes.
That is correct.
Just one question, are they gonna change the toilets? So it's not open slather, it's probably needs a little bit of rethinking perhaps?
In
Through
relation,
you, Chair,
through you, Mr Mayor, the dynamic in terms of the way the ablutions are laid out, there are individual cubicles in there, so there's, privacy's been driven to a point, but for instance, in this particular facility, if there was a smaller group using it, I would imagine some of the other accessible facilities will be used in preference to the general change rooms. So it can function both ways.
lovely, thank you.
With that also, I'd like to ask if we could have a site inspection
Yep.
as councillors,
Yep.
please.
That'd be good.
Through you, Mr Mayor, we're just about to take back the possession of the building. We're very close to completion. So if I can schedule that, we've still got some exterior works to do, but we'll look at how we get that sorted. But we're very close to being able to certainly get access to the building,
Beautiful.
rather than going through deductions for each one of every councillor on a construction site.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess one good point is by phasing it like this, we can look at the wall that's in the gym, with a bit more time to work on space availability, etc. as well. So I guess it's a great way to go about it, that it's not all going to be try to be done at once. It will be phased over, as the General Manager said, a couple of financial years.
Through you, Mr Mayor, as well, it allows us to engage with our partners in community to seek support for it.
Yes.
If it's going to be worked into a truly multi-purpose facility, there's a number of organisations that would potentially contribute to that if it touches multiple people in community, from the very young through to seniors.
And for those that have been here when this journey started, it was something which we did ask business at the time to support, and they weren't keen on that, but I think this is an option now that they probably would be a lot more keener to support.
And through you, Mayor, that's exactly where we're at, where we've got to. I'd like to commend the General Manager for the work that he's put into this, because we were all under the impression, the previous councillors, that this was going to be a community asset for Strahan, including the childcare, the CWA and the whole kit and caboodle. That was one of the things that we looked at in the scheme of things. So, yeah, so I think all in all, with the plan that's been put in place, we'll get a successful outcome.
Yeah, no, for sure, Councillor, and you know, we did take some things on board right from the original.
Yep.
The kiosk was going to be up the other end of the building, so we asked for that to be moved next to the main hall for the CWA to be able to have closer access. So, but there's just a few things that, I guess, communication-wise wasn't quite. The storeroom number one was always going to be the CWA's hall, but you know, I guess now the General Manager has certainly reached out to the CWA, and they're certainly happier now that we've got a place that, and they're quite. They're looking forward to the memorabilia being in the passageway. So for organisations from Strahan which don't have a place at the moment to store that memorabilia, although hopefully people will take on the option of the centre level in the the Union Steamship building, which is what has been offered by the proponents for the local group to take that on and use that space for this sort of thing. So a few options there for Strahan residents, by all means. Thank you.
Through you, Chair, perhaps maybe in the future when we come to do major assets, we can have more community input into some of the reports that are done and the community involvement, so we don't have to keep crisscrossing. So just a point for the future.
Yep. Okay, so we'll put that to a vote. All those in favour?
Right.
Against? Carried. Okay, item 83 is the report on the Slater Range. So the recommendation is that council approve the request for a letter of support. Someone like to move that way, please move Councillor Newman, second to Councillor Jordan. Open for discussions, councillors.
I'd like to think that we could provide a letter of support, actually quite reading a bit of history behind it and the track for it, and I think those places should be marked, and people should know where they are, and it's part of our very early sort of mining history as well. So I'm supportive of providing a letter of support for the naming of Slater's Range.
I thought it was very well done through you, Mayor. Yeah, I would be just putting it out there for them.
Rob Parsons done some great work behind the scenes too. If you care to get on YouTube, he's done some great stuff.
Yep.
I'd just point out to Rob, if he could possibly change the font, it made it very difficult reading.
I'd just like to commend Rob on this work. You know, it's people like this that we need to draw on his abilities for the West Coast to go out there and find these mine sites. It's just unbelievable. And,
At times, Parks and Wildlife would disagree, but
Yeah, no, he's definitely a true pioneer. Well done.
He would have been in fairly rough terrain that he's found these, so yeah. Okay, if no other discussions, councillors, we'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, item 84, the report is NAIDOC Week School Initiative. So the recommendation is that council provide cash support to the value of $450 for NAIDOC Week School Initiative 2025. Someone move Councillor McKay, second to Councillor Ivanicki. Open for discussions, councillors.
Always great to support NAIDOC Week.
Absolutely, 100%.
I think it fits in with our, reconciliation action plan, and I actually would love to see a little bit of media around this because council's been supporting this for many years, and it would be really good if we could acknowledge that. This is not like a one-off. I want to say at least 6, 7 or more years.
Yeah, so it's one of my points that we have supported this for many years, and I think it's a great opportunity and initiative.
Even a presentation or a video that could be played in workshop would be wonderful to see.
Yep, I'd have to say it's good to support things like this.
Yep. Okay, no other discussions, councillors? We'll put that one to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay. Item 85 is matters proposed for closed meeting. Matters proposed for closed meeting. Council may, by absolute majority, close a meeting. Part of the meetings with certain matters are being or discussed. The grounds for closure are to be recorded and minuted for the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Recommendation that items 87 to 93, 2025 discussed by council in closed session. Someone like to move that way, please? Move Councillor McCain, second to Councillor Butterfield. Put it to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried.
Let Billy catch up.
Yep.
Stream now?
Yep. Yes, mate. Yeah.
So a really good job.
There it is. Punching me out pretty quick, you do it like this,
Very well.
Well done.